Hello, welcome to the Mythology Manifest. For today's video, I am going to be explaining a very well-known legend from Greek mythology, the flight and fall of Icarus. I hope you enjoy it. So in my videos on Theseus, the Minotaur, Ariadne and Pasiphae, I mentioned that the Witch Queen of Crete Pasiphae wanted new and original things, and so she forced the inventor Daedalus to work for her and remain inside the palace on Knossos, so that he would work for her and no one else, and as assurance that he would not try to escape. Pasiphae also kept Daedalus' son hostage in her palace, and only allowed them to see each other once a day. The son's name was Icarus, and a few days before Pasiphae was due to give birth to the Minotaur, Daedalus tried to grab Icarus and escape, but he was caught by Pasiphae, who trapped Daedalus in a tower and said that he could now only see Icarus once a week. After the birth of the Minotaur, Pasiphae was horrified at the sight of her half-human, half-bull son, and yet she still loved him. It was in fact her husband Minos who labelled him a monster and shunned Pasiphae, and because of this, the queen had Daedalus build a maze for the monster to live in and eat humans. This was known as the Labyrinth, and so Daedalus did as Pasiphae asked, and he then returned to the top of his tower where he had Icarus waiting for him as their weekly visit. And I think Icarus was probably a teenager around this point. Every day after that, Daedalus tried to think of ways to escape the tower with Icarus. He suddenly realised that their only escape route was by air, since King Minos had control over the ships which went across the sea, and the carts on the land. Minos was also incredibly paranoid and was convinced that people were constantly trying to escape him, and so he had issued an order that every ship leaving Crete should be searched thoroughly for escaping prisoners. Instead of accepting that they would never escape, Daedalus and Icarus continued to think. Eventually, in his sleep, Daedalus thought of a marvellous plan. In some myths, it was just a very clever dream. In other myths, Athena whispered it into his ears as he slept. He had observed the birds that were flying around the tower, and dreamt of a flying man after that. He studied birds in great detail, their mannerisms, and then he began asking the guards for feathers, wood, and wax. Over time, he was given thousands upon thousands of feathers, hundreds of planks of wood, and buckets of wax, which he could mould when it was slightly melted. He continued to examine birds as they flew past the window, and over time, he fashioned 2 pairs of wings. One was slightly smaller than the other, and they were for Icarus. The day arrived when Daedalus knew he would be seeing Icarus that week, and he decided that that was the day he and Icarus were going to escape. He smashed the window, which was just large enough to fit a person, and got the wings out ready. Icarus entered the tower, and the guards locked the door at the top, so there was no way for them to escape, and then the guard left the tower. Daedalus showed Icarus the man-made wings and told him what position to jump out of the window so he would catch the wind. He told him when he needed to flap and when he would need to glide. And the most important bit of information that Daedalus gave to Icarus was that he was not to fly too near to the sea in case he damaged the feathers, and if he did that he would drown. He was also not to fly too high near the sun in case the wax melted and he plummeted to his death. After that intense warning, Daedalus and Icarus jumped out of the window one after the other and began flying, flapping their wings furiously. Eventually, they were able to emulate birds while flying over the sea, and they put a great distance between themselves and Crete. This was Icarus' first time seeing anything outside of Crete, and in his excitement, he forgot his father's warning. Daedalus was ahead of him, so he couldn't see as Icarus began soaring up and up. Icarus realised he had made a mistake going up so high when he felt the sun burn his skin slightly. He tried to swoop back to a safer height, but part of the wax had already melted, and one of the wooden planks had set alight. His wings burnt and fell apart, and Icarus fell from a great height, at immense speed, so that when he hit the water, it was like hitting concrete. He broke many bones, and either died on impact or drowned, leaving Daedalus devastated as he found sanctuary on the island of Sicily. This myth was used to show 2 meanings in the past. One is commonly used by parents, and that is to listen to what your parents say as they know what they're on about. and the other, which is one I disagree with, as it was used by negative historical leaders, was that Icarus fell because he was aiming too high, and that was what would happen when you tried to aim higher than you should. In other words, these rulers were telling people to settle for what they could get, not what they wanted, and I disagree with that. That is the end of that myth. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment or subscribe. In this video I mentioned some of my previous videos on Theseus, the Minotaur, Ariadne and Pasiphae. If you would like to see those videos, they should now be around me. If you want to, you can also follow this channel on Twitter. There is a link to it in the description below. Let's keep classics alive. I will see you next time on the Mythology Manifest.